Thanks, Brent. It's a pleasure to be here. My name is Jonathan Odd, President and CEO of Dakota Gold Corp. We are a South Dakota gold and exploration company with a specific focus on revitalizing the Homestake District. We trade on the NYSE American under the symbol DC. We'll make a few forward-looking statements. I'll try to keep most of them to myself. This company was born a couple of years ago through the merger of a private company called JR Resources and a public company called Dakota Territory Resource Corp. And we've accumulated almost 50,000 acres of land in the Homestake District, 13,000 acres of which are on private land. Bit of a continuation from the previous presentation. And that allows us to drill very quickly. We can get a permit within 30 days. And we are contiguous with the Homestake mine, which still to this day is America's largest single gold mine. 40 million ounces of gold came out of the ground and was shut down in 2001. We were able to acquire some of these assets from Barrick out of their closure group. And this is really the third company that's been created out of companies buying assets out of Barrick's closure group during the Mark Bristow era. The other two being Skeena and K92. Town of Lead is where our head office is. The state's only producing gold mine is a mile and a half to the west. Produces about 90,000 ounces of gold. Our Richmond Hill project is just to the north of that. Similar, we came out with a maiden resource earlier this year. 1.3 million ounces in indicated and 1.1 million ounces in inferred. We will be updating that resource in February of 2025. And I'll talk about that in a few slides. Just to the east of that is Maitland. We've made two discoveries here at Maitland over the last couple of years, led by James Berry, our Vice President of Exploration, who's sitting in the audience. And again, a lot of people don't know a lot about the Homestake mine because it shut down in 2001. And when Barrick acquired Homestake in 2001, the mine shut down a few months later. But Barrick never acquired Homestake for the assets that Homestake had in South Dakota. And that was the opportunity for us. And Dakota Territory Resource Corp was led by Jerry Aberle, who started picking up land that Homestake had dropped. And for us, it was an opportunity to really be first mover here. We've gone from 5,000 acres to almost 50,000 acres. So there's three unique opportunities here for Dakota Gold Management to create value for shareholders. At our Maitland project, we've discovered the JB zone, which I'll show you in a couple of slides, is an analog to the western ledge system in the old mine, which was 17, 19, and 21 ledge, where some 6 million of 40 million ounces of gold were mined. We've also discovered the Unionville zone, which is in the, it's a tertiary epithermal discovery. The discovery hole there was 35 meters of 3.5 grams. At our Richmond Hill project, this was a past producer, produced about 200,000 ounces of gold. It was a lac minerals project, oxide. So there was a couple of historical resources, so we made that compliant. We announced that on April 30th and look for considerable growth in ounces across all indicated and inferred. We will also be introducing a silver resource there. This is really what drove us to come to South Dakota and to merge the two companies. On the right-hand side of the page is the old mine. Again, still to this day, America's largest single gold mine. 40 million ounces of gold came out of the ground at over 8 grams per ton. In the late 90s, Homestake recognized that what they had was a finite resource, and you'll see a horizontal line there. They drifted out onto the Maitland project, and they discovered the North Drift discovery. In Homestake formation, the same host to what they were mining for 125 years. We will be drilling the up-dip portion of that North Drift later this year. Our discovery in the JB zone, the last hole that we announced was 4.5 meters of 25 grams. And that allowed James Berry and our team to recharacterize our discovery into 3 distinct ledges, 34, 35, and 36 ledge. You see there in the western ledge system on the old mine, again, 17, 19, and 21 ledge, 6 million ounces of gold. Similar dip, orientation, grade, thickness. James and our exploration group looked at over 600 historical drill holes from the old mine to make this analog. And that was one of the really attractive aspects of securing these surface rights under option from Barrick, is we got 125 years of data. So we digitized everything as it was all in analog format, and that really helped drive our exploration program, but also this consolidation effort of going from 5,000 acres to 50,000 acres. So again, still largest single gold mine in the history of the U.S. They were mining down to 8,000 feet. We're seeing our mineralization at our JB zone at Maitland at 1,200 feet. In the old mine, in the western ledges, they were encountering mineralization at 4,000 feet. So we're seeing it a lot shallower. We've seen mineralization down as deep as 4,500 feet. We have 2 of our 4 rigs are drilling at Maitland right now, drilling off this discovery. It is a brand new discovery contiguous to America's largest gold mine on private ground. Cannot emphasize enough the importance of having private ground in the U.S. Permitting in the U.S. certainly is coming with a very negative perception around timing. Again, 14,000, almost 14,000 of our 50,000 acres is on private ground. All 4 rigs right now are active on private ground. So in analyzing over 600 historical drill holes from the Western Ledge system, where some 6 million of the 40 million ounces of gold were mined, you can see 6 meters of 11 grams. And our average right now through over 40 high-grade intercepts in the Western Ledge, in our JB zone discovery, is just over 4 meters of just under 11 grams. Now, many of you saw a transaction a few weeks ago where Gold Fields acquired Osisko Mining. The average thickness at Windfall was 3.5 meters. The grade was 12 grams. So good comp. This is what it looks like. So because of the experience that our team has, led by James Berry, who worked underground at Homestake, also worked at Wharf Resources, this is like coming home for James. And this is a lot of unfinished business for James, as he was a part of the team that made the discovery at Maitland called North Drift. And again, that's one of 3 target opportunities for us at Maitland, where we know we have mineralized Homestake intercepts in 3 unique target opportunities. So this is just the kind of drilling and the kind of opportunity that we have. On the right-hand side, that's 17, 19, and 21 ledge, over 6 million ounces of gold. So we only have 42 to 44 holes with mineralized intercepts in them, so we have a lot more drilling to do. We are utilizing directional drilling to minimize deviation in our drilling. So you can see kind of the size of the prize here. This footprint that we're drilling off right now is absolutely akin to what was mined in 17, 19, and 21 ledge. It's just a function of getting additional pierce points into it. Ultimately, we're going to have to get underground. But it was that whole 4.5 meters of 25 grams that really allowed us to recharacterize this discovery into 3 distinct ledges. So you'll see the black area there. That is where most of the mineralization is. And there's a sea of Homestake formation here. 97% of it is not mineralized. So when you encounter gold mineralization in the Homestake formation, it's very significant. And then it's a function of going down dip, east or west, and that's what we're doing right now. The first discovery we made was called Unionville. It's a tertiary epithermal. It's a long north-south structure that we can trace for over 3 kilometers. And again, this is all on private ground. So a lot of our drill holes are designed to drill through both the tertiary and into Homestake formation. Some of those samples to the north were what Jerry Aberley and Dakota Territory Resource Corp took. So it's absolutely open for us, and it represents another target opportunity. Most of our drilling, as you see, is to the south there. In the Unionville zone, we have identified additional sub-parallel tertiary structures that are mineralized. We're not calling them discoveries yet until we have some additional holes, but another opportunity for us to create value for shareholders. It's still very open. We won't have a resource here until at some point next year, but you can see these high-grade hits and that gap area. There was a small land acquisition that we had to make in order to drill it that will get drilled over the next 6 months. Just moving to our Richmond Hill project. So this is about 1.5 miles west of Maitland. The yellow outline there is the outline of our resource that we announced on April 30th, and that was 1.3 million ounces in indicated and 1.1 million ounces in inferred. And it's about 1.5 miles north of Wharf, which is the state's only producing gold mine. Wharf produces about 85 to 90,000 ounces a year. It's an oxide heap leach project. We have now started to step outside of the resource, and we've got 2 of our 4 rigs drilling here. There's a lot more openness to this resource than we thought when we acquired it, and there's a lot more opportunities for us in the oxide. Extremely low strip, which we can talk about a little bit more when we update the resource in February. But there were a number of holes that we drilled outside of the resource. You'll see there on the 3rd or 4th bullet point, 42 meters of 1.7 grams, 60 meters of 1.68 grams, so considerably higher than the resource. Really focusing on Chisholm Gulch, which is sort of in the northeastern portion of the deposit, and the Richmond Hill area. And again, there's also a significant silver resource here that we will be making compliant. So we strongly feel this has the potential to be one of the largest gold resources on private land in the lower 48. So in that resource that we announced on April 30th, there are a number of opportunities for us to improve and enhance on the resource. We're going to be doing an initial assessment with cash flow, which is an equivalent to a PA. That'll come out a few months after we update the resource in February. The cutoff for drilling to be incorporated into this resource is over the next kind of 6 weeks. So we are going to do everything we can to get this drilling and all the drilling we did last year into this resource. But because everyone historically was so focused on drilling just through that oxide cap, most of the historical drilling was 100 meters, 150 meters below surface in a very small area. And as a part of this consolidation effort, it's really opened up our eyes to additional opportunities at Richmond Hill. We do have a pipeline of prospective earlier stage targets that at some point we would like to drill. The Southeast Richmond Hill and Perkins are ones that we're going to look to potentially drill over the next few months and try and incorporate some of that drilling into this updated resource. They come with historical holes. A lot of them are oxide. A lot of them are shallow. And then on that South Maitland corridor, again, a lot of opportunity, a lot of historical work that Homestake did. And same thing up at Chisholm Gulch there towards the east. And those were some holes in the Richmond Hill, South Richmond Hill area that Lac Minerals drilled. And that's the data set that we acquired from Barrick when we picked up the Richmond Hill option and the option over the old mine. It's really important for us to have a social license, and it's because of the relationships we have within the community. Jerry Aberley was the last mine manager when Homestake shut down. Second generation Homestake miner, South Dakota School of Mines. A lot of our employees are from the area, went to South Dakota School of Mines, and to this day we've had virtually no issues with drilling. And as Ken said in the previous presentation, for us to get a permit to drill, it's 30 days on private land. Cap table shareholdings, we just had a new analyst cover us, Andrew at BMO. Cash is just under $20 million. We've had some new shareholders come in here over the last 6 months. Active co-chairs, Bob Quartermain is sitting in the audience, our largest shareholder. Steve O'Rourke was C-suite at BHP, ran their global exploration for about 9 years. He's extremely active, large shareholder as well, lives in Rapid City. We were fortunate enough to get Patrick Malone from Barrick. Patrick ran the closure group for Barrick, so that's one of the people we were negotiating with when we acquired these assets. So excellent in terms of permitting, navigating closure sites, and of course having someone like James Berry here and Jerry is outstanding. So over the next 6 months, key catalysts for us, deliver the updated resource at Richmond Hill. You'll see considerable growth across all ounces and introducing a silver resource and continuing to drill off the JB discovery at Maitland and to further delineate the Unionville discovery in the tertiary there as well, and then coming out with an initial assessment with cash flow at our Richmond Hill project a few months after we update the resource. I guess with that, I've got 8 seconds.
7, 6, 5. Thanks, John. That was really great. Lots going on.